When I was young, my teachers thought I was lazy. But the truth was, I just couldn't keep up. I wasn't lazy, I just needed to learn how to learn. I'm Ronan, the deep learning human, and this is my journey to mastering learning. I've always been curious, since I can remember myself. When I was a kid, I opened an encyclopedia and just started reading. No goal, no reason, just curiosity. When I was 9, that curiosity turned into a question. How can I learn better? I started inventing little tricks, my own ways to learn. I didn't know it yet, but that was the beginning of my lifelong obsession, learning how to learn. But learning wasn't easy for me. I'm dysgraphic, which means I have a hard time writing. When I was in class, I couldn't keep up. By the time I wrote the first sentence, the whole class got ahead. When I was 10, I wasn't a great student. I wasn't a terrible student either. I was just average. And that was the frustrating part. I knew I could do better. When I was 12, I was diagnosed with dysgraphia. Back then, the teachers thought it is just an excuse to become lazy. My parents took me to an occupational therapist, and she showed me something that changed my life. She taught me learning strategies. It really opened my eyes. It showed me there's a way to learn how to learn. From that moment, I started experimenting, learning what works for me and changing things as I went. Then at age 13, everything shifted. We moved to another city and another school. So I took this opportunity and decided this time it will be different. This time I will be a better learner. I started like I always started, with writing what the teacher says. But after the first 1 or 2 days, I understood it's not the right way. I just couldn't keep up. So I started listening differently in class. I imagined the teacher is speaking with me, like a conversation. She's not reading a text or having a lecture. She's just talking to me. So when I had a question, I just asked the question, like I would ask a friend if I didn't understand what he says. And it changed the way I understand. Then a friend of mine told me that people only use 10% of their brains. Now today I know it's a myth, but back then we didn't have the internet to fact check, and it sounded magical. It meant I can do 10 times better than what I'm doing now. And it's like, I'm going to do it. I read every book I could find about brain power. Very quickly, I started to really understand things. My grades soared and I became one of the top students in my class. I was learning faster than ever. So fast, I was starting to get bored in class. One day, I spoke with the principal of the school, and after our talk, he offered to move me up 1 grade. So halfway through 9th grade, I started attending classes with the 10th graders. I started working as a tutor for younger kids in my area. Soon I had a name for being a great teacher, and I started teaching kids my own age. Around the same time, I read a book that made a real change in my life. The book is called A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor. And the book is about how when people have a meaning in life, they can endure any circumstance. It shifted my world. I started journaling and asking myself, what is my why? What gives my life meaning? When I was 17, I finished high school 1 year early, and I've decided to take this year to think about my meaning in life. I took a trip to the United States for 6 months and a couple of months in Europe, and kept journaling about my purpose. I remember sitting in a bench in Barcelona and writing down my purpose. I think I sat in the same bench for 2 or 3 hours and just debated with myself. And back then I've decided my purpose in life is to help all the people in the world be happy. I know it sounds grandiose and like dreamy or fantasy, but I was 17 and very optimistic. But after I decided this is my purpose in life, I asked myself, what is happiness? I wrote down a definition I still live by today. The definition is this: happiness is the feeling you get when you know your values, you know your purpose, and you're walking towards your purpose while keeping your values. Over time, my goal became clearer. I want to help people have the tools to pursue happiness. And one of the most powerful tools is learning new skills, learning new things, learning new ways of thinking. That's what led me to education. When I was 23, I started teaching and mentoring, and I spent the past 20 years teaching people how to learn. I earned a master's degree in learning. I mentored students. I've led projects, and I want to think I helped people lock their potential, and I love it. But I want to help more people. So I decided to scale it, to take everything I know about learning and make it accessible to everyone. That's how the Deep Learning Human project was born. I decided to take a year off so I can learn everything I need in order to build something meaningful. Entrepreneurship, so I can turn ideas into something real. Full stack development, so I can build an app that helps people learn. And digital marketing, so I can reach people who need it most. Each one of these alone is a full journey, and I'm doing all three at once. And it's ambitious and it's a bit crazy, but I want to push my limits. And because I want to help other people learn too, I want to document the whole thing here on YouTube. This channel isn't just about teaching learning strategies. It's about learning in public, making mistakes, improving, and sharing what actually works. I've never been a YouTuber. I'm learning to talk to the camera, to edit, and to tell stories. And it's messy. The videos aren't perfect. And that's the point. Learning isn't perfect. It's trial and error. It's progress. It's a journey. So if you're someone who loves learning, or if you ever thought, I know I could learn better, but I don't know how, you're in the right place. I'm Ronan, the Deep Learning Human. And this is just the beginning of my journey. A journey to mastering learning itself and help others do the same. Write down in the comments what is the hardest part for you when you are learning. And maybe I'll use it in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.